Hello everyone, good morning. This is CIS101 and today is the virtual class for the 12th of February 2019. So guys, we got Valentine's Day coming up and gals too, I suppose. So what we're going to have to do is start thinking about your nice Valentine's Day gift. This is what we're going to do today. Let's talk about what we've already done and kind of where we're at to kind of level set a little bit. Now, at this point, you should have downloaded, well actually it's not downloading, but you should have created an account on Oracle Application Express. And as I mentioned in the last class that we're in, everything that we're going to be doing is in the cloud, which means that Oracle Application Express, which you just signed up for and you've created your own workspace, is going to be accessible anywhere. So what you can do is you can access it from your tablet, you can access it from really anywhere that you have internet access. Remember, one of the goals that I stated for us as a group for our class is that all of the software that we're going to be using, I don't want to have installed in our lab. And I kind of made you that promise that everything that we need, we're going to have regardless of where we're at. I don't want you to ever think that you need to go into school to do something. As far as labs go, I mean, obviously we're going to have, our face-to-face meetings and we're going to have face-to-face classes, but I don't want you to think that you're kind of locked into going to the lab to actually, do a specific assignment or to go over what we're going to cover for the week. So Oracle Application Express, what we're doing here, kind of goes towards that. Remember the first segment, or one of the first pillars that we're doing as a group together, is learning about databases. And that's what we're going to do here. Now, Oracle Application Express is an online database management system. It allows us to go into Oracle, build database tables, insert records in the database tables, to modify database tables, and to basically build and maintain databases. So that's what we're going to be doing for the next few weeks or so, is we're going to be building and maintaining databases, and we're going to be doing that using Oracle Express. Now, you should already have it ready to go. I would say downloaded, but it's not really downloaded if you've noticed. For the first assignment, I wanted you guys to go and create an account or an environment, and then you did something such as it sent you an email, you clicked on it, it gave you a workspace and all this other good stuff. And that's what I did here. But the workspace I'm going to use, you're going to see just in a second here, is don't worry, because it's going to say CIS278 because that's the login workspace that I use. So if it looks different than yours insofar as like the class, because this is CIS101, don't panic. It's just I don't want to create different workspaces for all this different stuff. So the workspace I'm going to log in is going to look, it's going to be obviously different than yours. So don't panic if it doesn't say CIS101. It's going to look at something different. So if you don't have Oracle Application Express installed, let me know. Give me a text message, give me a phone call, smoke signals. We could go to the quad, we could go out for coffee, we could go to the bar, go out for pizza or whatever, and we'll get you all up to speed. But if you haven't done this already, and you should have done this prior to this class, just Google Oracle Apex and then go into the sign up there. But you should already have an email from me kind of explaining how to do it. And the steps, if you haven't already done it, you probably should have already done it. The steps in creating an Oracle Apex environment is really super simple. It takes you 10 minutes, doesn't cost you a dime, you don't got to get your credit card out, all that other good stuff. So if you don't have that ready to go, get it ready to go before you do this actual, before you watch this actual class. Because at that point, what you can do is you can get started. So what we're going to do is I'm going to give you an introduction to Oracle Apex, and we're just going to kind of just do some exercises. Like we're going to create a table, we're going to do an insert, an update, a delete, and just do some rudimentary SQL skills. So I really fully expect you guys to kind of be stopping the video, restarting it, stopping it, and restarting it as we do our exercises and our examples. So let's get started. Today we're going to have an introduction in SQL. Now, you're going to know SQL, or you're going to need to know SQL, because SQL is really the language that we either build databases in, or we manipulate databases, or get data in and out of databases. Now, SQL's been around for about 25 or 30 years or so, and it's ANSI, A-N SII, pardon me, which means that it's standard among all database management systems. Now, some different database management systems have different flavors of SQL, such as Oracle might have their own, dialect of SQL. SQL Server might have its own dialect of SQL and DB2, but primarily each of these major enterprise data systems or database management systems has, or at least should, understand ANSI SQL, which is general SQL that should be able to be ported across all databases. And that's why SQL is so important, because once you learn SQL, you really know half or even more of the database tool that you're working with. For example, if you're a SQL Server programmer, or if you're going to go into Oracle programming, ANSI SQL will go a long way to that end to actually master that database management system. So what we're going to do here for the remainder of this video is we're going to learn some basic SQL clauses, and we're going to be using Oracle Application Express. So what I did here is I brought up my workspace, which is CIS278 Henry Robert, and I'm going to log on with my user ID and my password. So you may want to do that as well. You could bring up Oracle Application Express and log on with your user ID and your password. So I'm going to do that now. You can also check this if you like, where it says remember workspace and username. You know what? I'm going to do that just for the heck of it, and then sign in. Now I have some pre-written data here for us. Now I have a simple table with a few rows in it. So we're going to be navigating and working within SQL Workshop right up here on the upper left-hand side. So I'm going to click on SQL Workshop, and let me show you what we're going to be using for some test data. So what you can do is, if you want, is you can build out Oracle Apex to kind of look like this. So basically, I have in my object browser, I'm going to be using a table which I've already pre-built. And I'll show it to you now. It's kind of loading, so let's give it a second. Internet's a wee bit slow tonight, but we already have a test table out here with some data in there. So what we're going to do is we're going to work with different SQL clauses. We're going to work with a select clause. We're going to work with a delete clause. We're going to work with an insert clause and an update clause. Now, not necessarily in that order. We're going to be skipping around between the different clauses. Now, what I have here is I have a table called customers. And if you want, you can build your table here where it says cust ID, number, cust name, salary, hire date. And then we have the simple data types here where customer ID is a number, customer name is a variable character, 50. We have salary as a number, and we have hire date as a date. Now, this is a very simple table. Now, it's not advanced. For those of you that know about tables, notice that we don't have any constraints on it. We don't have anything like a primary key, a foreign key, nothing like that. This is a very, very simple table. And let me show you the script that I used to build that table and put some data in it. So I'm going to navigate to SQL Workshop, and then down to where it says SQL Scripts. And I did write a script previous to this video to populate that actual table. And we'll give the internet a little bit of time. Like I said, it's a wee bit slow. So what you can do is, if you want to try these examples, is you can either get the script from me, send me an email, and I'll be glad to give you the script. Or what you can do is just you can type it in yourself. Now, this is a very, very, very simple script. And I know it's a little bit small here, but I can make this a little bit bigger. Again, if to do that, you do with that Control+. If you want to make this a little bit bigger, I'll make that slightly bigger. There we go. So I have a script here. Let me edit the script. And it's a very simple script. And that script, basically what it does is it drops the table. So we have drop table customers, and then we have create table customers, and we have the 4 columns in it. We have customer ID, customer name, salary, and the hire date. And we have 3 records that we're putting in it. We're putting in Mickey Mouse, Minnie Mouse, Donald Duck. And let me put in a couple more pieces of data. So I'm put in insert into customers values. And we'll put in like customer number 4. We'll put in Cassie Duck. And Cassie Duck earns $100,000 a year. And her hire date is the 1st, which is January 17, 2008 or 2018. So we just kind of fell across our first SQL statement. Insert. Now, insert is fairly easy to understand, and you're going to find this out with SQL. Once you start working with SQL, that SQL is fairly easy to understand. It's fairly easy to get started with. It's not that difficult, but it's a little bit tougher to master. Again, it's kind of analogous to playing an instrument, where if you had a piano lesson, you'll leave that piano lesson probably not much better than you were, but you'll know a little bit more, and you could learn simple songs, and once you learn simple songs, you can kind of master more complex ones. So that's exactly how you learn SQL. So let's go over the portions of an insert statement. So we have insert. That means we're going to put data into a table. Now, insert works with one table and only one table. So it's easy. You can only insert into one table. And here we're inserting into the customers table. Can't insert into more than one. Easy. Only one table at a time. And then you have the values clause. Now, the values clause has a value corresponding to each column. So the first value is going to go into customer ID. The second value is going to go into cus name. The third value is going to go into salary. And the last value here, the fourth one, is going to go into hire date. Now, there are other syntaxes for the insert clause. So in your travels, you're going to see that there's different syntaxes for this. But this is the easy one. There's going to be more. Like I said, cross that bridge when you get to it. It's not important right now. Let's just get an insert statement working. Also notice that this insert statement has to work with different data types. Now, I don't know how much you know about data types, but what we're going to be doing, at least in the examples here for this class, is we're going to be using just simple data types. Now, just about in every database management system, data types kind of fall into 3 categories. And this is kind of like a little bit of a white lie because it's not completely accurate, but it's pretty close. It's a good rule of thumb to think about. Just about everything either falls into numbers, strings, or dates. Now, for those of you that are a little bit more advanced, you're already raising your hand saying, no, there's blobs and there's doubles and there's floats. I know that. But remember, this is a basic SQL class. So we're going to try to stay out of our way a little bit and keep these examples as simple as possible. I call them happy path examples. Let's get these to work, and then we'll worry about the more complex. That's the way you learn these things. I mean, don't look at exceptions. Don't look at, well, wait a second, there's also this, there's also this, there's also this. Let's get simple examples to work, and let's not give babies knives to play with. Let's just play with simple examples and get them working. So basically, with that in mind, we're using just some simple Oracle data types. We're using number. Now, number can be any number. It could be a large number. It could be a small number. It could be a really large number. Like, for example, if you wanted to look at, miles to the sun or inches to the sun, you could have that as a number. Number can also be very, very small. Like if you wanted to have this, the centimeter diameter of an atom or something like that, it could be a very small number. Also, numbers can be integral or they can be real. Now, there's a difference there. An integral number is an integer. An integer is something that you express as a whole number. Like if someone asks you, for example, what your age is, you probably say your age as an integer. Probably. You can say, I am 29 years old. 29 would be an integer. It has no decimal in it. Now, real numbers have decimals. So if someone says, how old are you? And if you say, I'm 29.7947325 years old, I guess that would sound weird. We kind of don't talk like that. But that would be expressing your age as a real number. So remember, integers don't have decimals. Reals do. In Oracle, we could just say number. And then we could say, Oracle, you figure out exactly what kind of number it is. Now, I'm not going to dwell too much on how Oracle handles data types. And I'll tell you why. Because every database management system is slightly different in how they handle and how they declare variables. So keep that in mind. What I'm telling you here is kind of generic, but it's also kind of Oracle specific too, where I'm giving you things that kind of how they work in Oracle. Why? Well, because that's the database we're working with. So we're going to have to do some stuff that only has to do with Oracle. So that's your number. Now notice when we put the number in, we don't use anything such as commas or currency symbols. Now here we have 1, which we're doing the customer ID is 1. So 1, doesn't have a comma. Like for example, if this was employee 1000, we couldn't do this. We could only put in just the pure number. You could use decimals if you wanted. For example, if this was customer number, 1000.00, that'd be a funny customer number, but it's actually valid. You could actually put this in. So as far as numbers go, you can only use, again, just the number. You can't use currencies. Like for here, we got the salary. If we tried to do 95,000, this would be incorrect with the currency in it, and then we put in the comma. Notice that the highlighting changes as well, because in Apex, when we specify a number, we're specifying the it kind of shows up in green. If it's invalid like this with the currency symbol, most likely it'll just kind of change colors. Basically, Oracle Apex saying I don't know what that is. So numbers are there. We went over numbers. Now let's talk about varchar or varchar, depending on your dialect. I say varchar, but some people say varchar. That's fine. Rhymes with Care Bear, right? So here what we're doing is, let me talk about a little bit. Let me take one step back here. Way back in the day, there used to be a data type, and there still is. It's called varchar, not with the 2 in it. It was just varchar. Get this question a lot. Why is this varchar 2? Well, here's why. Varchar, way back when, was for variable characters, but what would happen is Oracle would leave trailing spaces at the end of it. So if I had something like this, like varchar with 50 in it, what would happen, and if I put Bob for the customer name, Oracle would store Bob and it would store 47 blanks. Now, blanks are expensive. And back in the day, when disk space was expensive and hard to come by, it was a real space waster. But in order to preserve backward compatibility, what the powers that be at Oracle did is they added another data type in another Oracle release called varchar 2. They can't call it varchar and change it because it's already there. It's already being used. But what they can do is they can declare a new variable for strings called varchar 2. So varchar 2 will keep the name and it will release the blanks to the operating system. Much more efficient. So if I put Bob as the cuss name, it would keep Bob and it would take the other 47 bytes and just release it back to the operating system. Saying, you know what? You said it could be as large as 50. I don't need 50. I just need 3 of them. Here's 47 bytes. Take them back and do whatever you want with them. All right. So that's number and varchar. Salary is a number. And let me explain dates. Dates is kind of a special case. And it's a special case in most database management systems. Everyone seems to handle dates differently. So if you're going to be going into anything besides Oracle, you're going to have to learn how dates are handled and what the date functions are. So again, we're just doing happy path here. Again, this is an intro to SQL. So we're going to try to stay out of our own way, and we're going to try to keep these examples just as simple as possible. Now for the higher date, we have a date data type. Now more on dates a little bit down the road. for now, I want you to do this. Oracle can handle dates as a string as long as you use this format. It's called the default date format. If you want to see all of them, go to Google. Google's your friend. And Google Oracle default date format, and it'll show you more about that and kind of talk about the default formats. So if you use an Oracle default date format, which I suggest you do to start with, what will happen is Oracle will take this string, and again, it's a string because it's denoted by a single quote. Again, just like Mickey Mouse is a string, a varchar, same thing. Strings are variable characters. So is our date. If you denote the date as a string, what's going to happen is Oracle will take that string, and it's in the default date format, and convert it to a date data type for you. Now, how data types get casted or get assigned is kind of beyond the scope of what we're doing here. So again, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to give you an example that just doesn't break, something that just works. That way we can concentrate on the SQL and not concentrate on anything else but writing the SQL. All right, so anyway, this is my script editor, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to save. It doesn't automatically save like Google Docs, so I'm going to save this, and then I'm going to run. So hopefully, if everything goes well, I'm going to maybe make this a little smaller. Again, I'm going to try to make it so you can see it. But I got my script, and I'm going to click on run. So let's run. And it's going to ask me, are you sure I want to run the script? I wonder what's running this. It's wherever it's running it, it's 1:30 a.m. It's not 1:30 a.m. It's actually 8:32 here. All right, let me run this. And we should be successful. Now remember, or maybe not remember if you're seeing this for the first time, you probably shouldn't at this point. What happens is when we run a script, what happens is Oracle Apex executes that script one line at a time. And then we get to see the results and how long it took. So drop table customers, table was dropped, that's good. Remember, as long as we don't see an ORA hyphen, that stands for Oracle error, we're okay. So it's what we don't see, which makes this look good, not what we do see. So we drop a table, create a table, and we're inserting 1, 2, 3, 4 rows into the table. So our insert statement worked. Now, in real life, is this how we get data into a table? The answer is yes and no. Usually the tool that we're going to be using, like if we write an app to insert customers, like for example, we could write a web form. If we know how to do this, we can write a web form, or if we're doing Java, we could do like JavaScript, like Jaguar, or pardon me, like what am I thinking of here? Well, let's stick with a web form. Like if we wanted to write a web form to modify or to insert customers into a table, we would code for this, and we would probably have like a button on our form that says create customer, and then we would have fields where you'd put in the customer ID. You could auto-generate it if you wanted to. You would put in the customer name, their salary, and their hire date, and then click on Save Customer. And at that point, Save Customer might have some code behind it, to actually take the values from the form, put it into an insert statement, and then that insert statement would be executed against the database. So the answer is yes. We would use insert statements to populate this table, but what we won't have though is you're not going to be sitting, or your user isn't going to be sitting behind Apex coding, hard coding, insert statements. It's going to be done by the application, and there's going to be some code that's going to be required to do so. So right now what we're doing is, since we're just database developers now, we're not web developers, we're just building our table, and we're putting some test data into our table. Now, there's also some more things you can do. Since we're here, we can do something like we could view detail. And it should, this is probably not going to show us much different, but let me just do a go. So in the detail, it shows us almost the same stuff here, where you have the the table, we got the feedback and how long it took. In this case, the detail is not going to be horribly different than what we ran before. But this is kind of cool though. We could actually download we could actually download this if we want, if we're like logging something or debugging or documenting. Also, let me go to summary and then go, but it's not going to show you much different. Okay, so anyway, so here we can edit, we can do whatever we like. We're kind of good to go here. All right, now let's do some SQL. You already saw the insert statement. So let's work with the select statement. Let's go to the following. I'm going to go to SQL Workshop and then just go to SQL commands. Now remember, or maybe not if you're seeing this for the first time, SQL commands are just one-off statements. It's not a script. Remember, scripts execute many statements in order. Like if you have, like in the example that we just had there, what we did was we were able to create a table, and then from there what we were able to do is we were able to, from there we were able to insert records into the table. So here what we're going to do is not write a script, but just do one-off SQL commands to actually get data from the table. So we're going to be going over the select clause. So let's get started with our first SQL select. Now just to go through that navigation again, we're going to go again to SQL commands. And from here, we're going to be able to type in specific one-off SQL commands. That could actually be DML as well, DDL and DML. A little bit more about that later. Let me make this a little bit larger. And let's go over the select statement. I'm going to type in select star from customers. I believe it's plural. We'll find out shortly. Now this is a SQL select statement. Now in SQL select, it starts out with select, and then you have the list of individual columns that you want from the customers table. Star means all of them. It says, get me all the data from all the columns from the customers table. And then when you're done writing your SQL statement, click on run. And you get to see what's called your results set below. Now I'm going to kind of go back and forth between making this a little bit larger and smaller. And I'm going to kind of pull this up a little bit. Looks like I accidentally put a little dash in there. So this is the results. Now this is important because what gets returned from a SQL select clause is called your results set. So here it's called results, but I'm going to be using the term result set. Your result set is the list of data and the columns that come back from your SQL select. Now, if I just wanted to see, for example, the customer name and the salary, I can just put it in here like where I can say select star, and rather than star, I can say cust name, comma, salary from customers. So everything between the select and the from is a list of columns that I want to get from the customers. Now here what we're doing again is we're just getting it from one table. You can have a select from multiple tables. We don't have multiple tables yet. We'll do that when we do some intermediate SQL. Remember, the title for this guy is Introduction to SQL. But if I click on run, I'm going to get, I got invalid SQL statement. This is important. I didn't expect to see this. But when you get an error, I've alluded to it a few times in this video, you're going to get an aura and a number, invalid SQL statement. It's kind of cool though, if you wanted to, and you don't have to do this now, but if you want to investigate these errors, you can, because they're on the web everywhere. There's a lot of Oracle sites, like for example, if I wanted to know more about that error, I'm just going to type it in. And then you're going to see like Oracle sites come up here. Like here we go. We got, yeah, again, you can click on any link you want, but there's probably one for, here we go. This is Oracle Docs. So you can look these up. They're called Aura errors. And each one of these numbers is assigned to a specific error code. Now here it's saying doesn't like, which one was this? 0090. Invalid SQL statement. The statement is not recognized as a valid SQL statement. And then blah, 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 blah. Okay. So the SQL statement is invalid. You're going to get some other Aura messages that are a little bit more obscure than this. This one's kind of obvious. So let's take a look at what we have here. Let's go back to select star. Always go back to a point where it ran. And let's see what we got here. And it looks okay. Let's see. Let's just try this one at a time. Let's do select. Whoops. Cust ID from customers. That looks good. Oh, also, I'm going to point this out too, that when you write SQL, number one, notice it's case insensitive. It can be upper or lower. However, it's usually a convention that you put in the SQL statements, like for example, select and from. You put that in uppercase. So we're going to do that. And also, when you have multiple columns, you denote them by a comma. So I'm going to put in cust ID, cust name from customers. And give this a run. There we go. I don't know what was the problem before. But anyway, this looks like it works just fine. Now again, notice it's also white space insensitive, meaning that you can, make your SQL statement look like, make it visually appealing. But just out of curiosity, I'm just going to go back to putting it on one line. It should work. It should work here too. Yeah, it did. I don't know what the problem was before. Maybe you caught it. Maybe I misspelled something. I'm not sure. But this looks okay. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of make this visually appealing like I did before. I'm just going to put it on different lines because this is primarily how you write SQL. You got your select and you got your from. Now, these are mandatory clauses. These are SQL clauses. So we got everything here is called a SQL statement. And part of your SQL statement, you have SQL clauses. You have the select and you have this from. These are called SQL clauses. Now, the select and the from are mandatory. They're not optional. You have to select a column set, and it's got to be from at least one table. Let me add a column in here. Let me add salary. So let's get the cust ID, the cust name, and the salary. There we go. And also, you can save this as well. I'm not going to save it. You can if you want. I'm just going to kind of go back and forth between these statements. I mean, you could save them if you'd like to. You don't need to. Like I said, if you're following along with me, you're probably pausing the video and, putting this in and then pausing the video and then, going over and entering your SQL statement. So anyway, I got select cust ID, cust name, salary from customers. Now, let me show you an optional clause here, the where clause. The where clause is optional, and what it will do is it'll filter. I don't like using that term because filter can mean a different thing when we talk about SQL, but it will filter what your result set actually looks like when it gets returned to you. For example, we have here, how about this? We could say salary is greater than 90,000. So the where clause, everything after that, has to evaluate to a true or a false. Let me make this a little bit larger, just so you can see the select. And it's a little bit too large. That's the best I can do. All right, so anyway, if you look at my select statement, we have here, again, in the where clause, let's see if I can make this a little bit smaller. Yeah, that's about it. It's not going to give me anything more, so hold on. There we go. I know it's kind of small. But everything after the where clause, and again, the where clause is optional, has to evaluate to a true or a false. So basically, what's happening behind the scenes is you issue your SQL statement, in this case, a SQL select statement. Select cust ID, cust name, salaries from customers, where salary is greater than 90,000. So what happens is Oracle and Apex will look row by row, and it'll look at the salary column, and either salary is greater than 90,000 is either true or it is false. If it is true, it's going to be included in your result set. If it is false, it is not. Now, the where clause, again, is really handy for filtering or limiting what records are included in your result set. Like in this case, we're not interested in all of our customers. We're just interested in all of our customers that have a salary greater than 90,000. Now, your where clause can also have ands or ors. Like I could say, and, how about this? Salary is less than 100,000. Now, the ands and the ors for the where work the same as they do in algebra. If you remember algebra from high school, and I don't remember algebra from high school, all I remember is it was after gym and the book was blue. That's all I remember from algebra. But anyway, you could use the same order of operations with the ands and the ors. You know, ands are usually evaluated pardon me, before the ors. And also you could bracket this too. Like you could say something like, if you wanted to, you could say, how about this? If this made sense, you could say, evaluate this first, where you could say the salary is greater than 90,000 and less than 100,000. I could put an or, and I'll put in cust name equals Don Duck. I don't even know if I have a Don Duck in there, but I'll still illustrate this example. So your where clause can have ands or ors, and the ands and the ors and the open and the closed paren are evaluated the same as your algebraic operators. So think about algebra in high school and how you would open and close parens. Like for example, this would be evaluated before anything, and then everything else is evaluated afterward. So your where statement or your where clause can get to be pretty complicated. And it's meant to be complicated. It's not, there's nothing wrong with having a complex where clause. You're going to have situations, though, later in SQL. Not now, because right now you're just learning it. All of you here are just into SQL for a few hours, where there's going to be some performance problems, and you might have to look from a performance perspective how you build your where. Because when you build your where, you're adding more work to the database. The database has to do a lot more evaluation of your result set. So when you add your where, the more complex your where clause is, the slower your SQL will go. Now, here it's not that much of an issue, because in our SQL statement, we only have 5 records, but we could have 5 million or 5 billion. So the way you build your where, just keep in mind in the back of your head, may be a little bit more, you may have to be a little bit more careful. For example, you don't know anything about indexes yet, right joins, left joins, outer joins, but just keep in mind that somewhere down the road, not today, but somewhere down the road, there is a right and a wrong way to build your where statement. Even though it might work, there might be a better way to actually structure it so it performs a little bit better. And you'll cover that again when you're in the intermediate SQL and you know a little bit more about indexing, a little bit more about binary sorts as opposed to, or pardon me, binary sorts. You'll know a little bit more, like I said, about indexing, foreign keys, primary keys, all that other good stuff. For now, just worry about the syntax for a where clause. So I'm going to run this. And again, I don't know if I have a Don Duck in there, so it's not going to bring them back. But in this case, I'm going to bring back all of my peoples that have a salary greater than 90,000 and a salary less than 100,000, or the cuss name, how about this, is not Donald Duck. It's going to bring back everybody now. I mean, this probably isn't the best example, but there we got all of them now. Let me show you what I did there. Now, as far as these symbols here, I mean, we could use greater than, we could use less than, we can use equals, we could use not equals, like for example this. We can do, just for grins, we could say equal or greater than 90,000 and is less than and equal to 100,000. And again, you can use any of your algebraic operators. Get your algebra book out. Like I said, the only thing I remember about high school algebra was it was after gym and the book was blue. That's going to be your imaginary extra credit point to see if you watch this video, because what I'm going to do is next week is I'm going to say, what color was my algebra book? And then you're going to say, I watched a video, Bob, and your algebra book was blue. I suppose you got probably a good shot at guessing that, though. I'm just trying to lighten things up a little bit here. All right, anyway, so that's our where clause. Now, we're not going to go over joining more than one table here. Although your select statement can get data from more than one table. We're going to cover that, again, a little bit later in intermediate SQL. Just for now, I want you to play with a regular SQL statement like we're doing here. Now, what I want you to do now is I want you to try kind of something on your own. Let me see what I can do here. Let's see. Let's do one more thing. Let's work with some string functions. Like for example, we got the numeric ones. I mean, you got greater than, you got equal to and greater than, you got like less than or equal to. You get that. You get that. Let's work with some string functions. Like for example, how about we want to get everyone where the name is Mickey Mouse. I think I spelled, well, how about this? Where, and we'll put in cuss name is equal to, and we'll say Minnie Mouse. Now remember, when we compare strings, we always use single quotes. So here we got select cust ID, cust name, and salary from customers where the customer name is equal to Minnie Mouse. Oh, don't need that. And again, you can save this if you like. I'm not going to. I'll give you a second to catch up. And then we're going to click on Run. And, whoop, we don't got Minnie Mouse here. Let's see what the deal is here. Ooh, so, oh, here we go. So you got this extra equals. Get rid of that. Let's try it again. Where cuss name equals Minnie Mouse. And there we go. Now, let me show you some other ones. You have equals, and you're like, okay, Bob, I got that. Let me show you another one. How about we want to get everyone that has mouse in their name? We can use like. We type in like. And I'm going to put in a %sign and a %sign. What this is saying is we're going to find everyone that has, and again, this %sign here just means any characters and any characters. So basically what this is saying is it's going to look for the string mouse in customer name anywhere. Anywhere where we see mouse, it's going to look for it. Click on run. I think I got one small little minor mistake here, but no, I'm good. Okay, so we got Mickey Mouse, or Mickey, Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse. Now, if I wanted something that just started with mouse, I would do something like this. Find me everything that starts with mouse and then has any characters afterwards. I shouldn't have any, but I'm going to run this anyway. No data found. How about everything that ends with mouse? So I would look for any characters and ends with mouse with no characters after it. Now I should find two of them, right? I should find Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse. And I do. There we go. Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse. So that's what like works like. So you know what equals is, you know what like is, and then you worked with numbers. You know it's either greater than, it's less than, it's greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, or not equal to. So those are the ways that you compare numbers. So just to kind of look at the big picture, you're kind of seeing here, as far as working with SQL, that it's fairly easy to get started, and it is. It's actually as easy as you're seeing it here, but it kind of creeps up on you. Like I mentioned, there's other, it's got kind of, multiple learning curves where you're going to get up to speed really quickly on the simple stuff, and then the more complex stuff, it's going to be a little bit more, strange than this. So that is the select. Basically, it's all I want you to do now for the select. I want to actually, you know what? There's one more thing. Let's do the order by. Like, for example, let's go back and say where, and we'll say the salary is less than 100,000. So we got cust ID, cust name, salary customers, where salary is less than 100,000. So we've seen this before. It's not going to do anything horribly different. Maybe a little bit. Okay, now this is what I want to show you. There's another clause that we can use for a select called order by. Now in order by, we specify the column that we want to order on. Like if we want to order on the salary column, we can. Or if we wanted to sort on the customer name, we can do so as well. So we'll put in order by cust name, and if you want, you could put a comma and put in different columns. Now this is not really going to produce really fruitful results, because once we order by the customer name, it's going to be sorted because the salaries are going to be different anyway. But just to illustrate how that would work, if you want to sort on more than one column, you can. In this case, let's just sort on one. Order by salary. And there we go. So we've got Donald Duck, we got Mickey Mouse, and we got Minnie Mouse. Now again, we're showing everything that's less than $100,000, and we're ordering by salary. So that is select. All right, let's have a lab exercise. What I want you to do is I'm going to show you the SQL statement that I want you to build. And then what I want you to do is I want you to stop the video, and I want you to try to write that SQL. Spend about 20 minutes on it or so, or 5 minutes, or 30, however long that you need to do it. And then once you're done, I want you to restart the video and see what I came up with. So let's write the following query. Let me bring up Notepad here. That's what I want you to do. Make it a little bit larger. I'll put in lab. Write the following SQL. I'll put in show me all columns for the customers table. Really easy peasy. Show me all columns from the customer table, and I'll say sort it on the date they were hired. This should just take you a few minutes, but what I want you to do is I want you to, number one, look at the lab and know what's being asked of you. Then I want you to turn off the video. I want you to write the SQL, get it working, and then once it's working, I want you to restart the video. All right, good luck. Hello and welcome back. Did you write your SQL statement? Let's compare your SQL statement to what I came up with. Now basically what I asked you to do is write the following SQL, right? I could probably spell a little bit better than this. Show me all columns for the customers table sorted on the date they were hired. So how about this? We'll say select star from customers. There's no where, right? Show me all data from the customers table, and we'll order by the hire date. And let me run. There we go. So we got Mickey Mouse was first, then Minnie Mouse was hired, then Donald Duck was hired, and then Cassie Duck was hired. So Cassie Duck was hired on the 17th of January, and again, you can see how this was sorted. So a very simple SQL statement. Now, we're almost about ready to wrap up SQL selects. Now, again, this is an introduction. We're going to have an intermediate coming up. I just want to get you comfortable writing SQL select. So just to review, as long as you can write a select statement to return either all columns or a list of columns from a table, put in a simple where clause for filtering criteria, and then doing an order by, you're good. That's all I really want from you guys for today. Now, does it get more complicated than this? Well, of course it does. But at least this way, you have some sort of inkling on how SQL selects work. So that's how SQL selects work for now. Now, what we're going to do at this point is we're going to go over an update clause where we're going to actually update records within our table. So let's go over update. What we do is when we want to update a record in the table, what we can do is we can issue a SQL update. So what we're going to do here is we're going to update the salary for Mickey Mouse. And let me show you how we're going to do that. We're just going to jump right in with a simple update. I'm going to type in update, make this a little bit larger. How about this? Update, and then you put in the table name, customers, set, and then you put in what you want to change, like salary, equals, we'll give Mickey a raise, $96,000, where cust ID equal to 1. Now, you've learned about, hopefully, some of the other SQL clauses. Now, this is how update works. Update works with a few things. Now, again, just like any other clause, you can put this on multiple lines, which I'm going to, and I don't need that semicolon. So with update, we're allowed to update one table at a time. So here it's saying update the customers table, set the salary equal to $96,000, where the customer ID equals 1. So what this will do is Oracle will look at this where clause and say cust ID equals 1 and set the salary to $96,000, hopefully. So let's run this. You should get one row updated And to see that row, we could do a select. Let me show you how you can actually put a comment in here. Actually, you know what? I don't think you can. Hold on. We're just going to have to go back and forth. So we can go, like, for example, select. Notice it's not case sensitive. We'll put in star from customers. Now notice that Mickey Mouse, to make this a little bit smaller, has a salary of $96,000 because our update worked. Now that's how update works. It works with, again, your set and a where clause. But it could also be pretty dangerous too. Because, for example, if I did something like this, update customers, set salary equal to 200,000. And I'll let you kind of catch up there for a second if you're typing in. Now again, with these remote classes or these virtual classes, I fully expect you guys to kind of stop the video, try this, and then restart the video again. That's what's kind of cool about this is we're allowed to do this virtually, where you can look at the example, you can replay it, you can redo it. If I say something stupid, you can go back to it. If you want to hear all my great jokes, you can do that as well. But updates are also dangerous. How many rows do you think this update statement is going to actually affect? How many rows do you think this update statement is going to affect? Let's look at it. We have update customers, set salary equal 200,000. We don't have a where clause in here. It's going to update all of our rows. Now remember, when we write SQL statements, SQL is really meant for database developers to use. SQL will never ask you to save yourself from yourself. It'll never say, are you sure you want to update everybody to 200,000? SQL assumes you know what you're doing, which is a good thing, usually, because it doesn't really restrict you from doing anything. You could do anything that you want. So if I did this, what's going to happen is everyone is going to change to 200,000. I'm not going to because I don't want to wreck my test data. Trust me, it would. Since I don't have a where clause in here, it's going to update everybody. Now, we can also do things such as put in computed columns. Like, for example, let's just say I wanted to give everyone a 10% raise. Well, they all make different salaries. How would I know? So what I can do is I can set the salary equal to, how about this, salary, the salary column, times 1.03. What this will do is it'll update the customers, all the customers. It'll look at their current salary, multiply it by 1.03, effectively giving them a 3% raise. So what this will do is the salary will be, 3% more than what it is. This is what I'm going to run. And we get 4 rows updated. That's about right. And to see the updates, again, we're going to have to do a select. So let's do a select star from customers. You should see everyone has their raise. Now, interestingly, we don't have decimals in here, but don't worry about that for now. Or maybe, don't worry about that for now. So we have in here select star from customers, and we got what their actual salary was. And we can also do things such as like change a name. Let's just say Minnie Mouse marries Donald Duck. So we can say, how about this? We can say update cuss name set, it would be update customers We say set cust name equal to we will do equal to cust name equal to mini duck, and we'll say where cust ID is equal to 2. All right, now I should be able to run this. And again, let's take another look. Update customers. Again, we always update, and then we customers is a table we're updating. And we're setting the customer name equal to mini duck, where cust ID equals 2. So Minnie Mouse is going to be changed to mini duck. So let me run this guy. One row updated. And we will do a select star from customers. And we should see that change from Minnie Mouse to Mini Duck. And we do. So anyway, so what we did here is we changed the salary for everybody. Well, for Mickey first, and then for everybody else. And then what we did is we changed the name for Mini Duck. Now this is all the update I want you guys to do for now. Now, how does this work in real life? Now, again, just like a select statement or an insert statement, you're probably not going to be typing in, as far as an application goes, you're not going to be typing in update statements, out of Oracle Apex. Now remember, this is a database class, and, when you're in the tool, in this case Oracle Apex, you're going to be writing PL SQL code, in this case a SQL statement. So while you're in here, you're going to be doing updates like I am here, just like testing your data, fixing your data, making some changes. But in real life, just like, we might have a web form, and that web form, you put in a cust ID, cust name, salary, and the hire date, and then there might be a button on that web form that says update customer. And when the user clicks on update customer, we'll get the updates, such as like the name change, and then programmatically issue an update statement. Now, there's a ton of way to do that, so don't worry too much about that. If you're a C# developer, you'll probably be using the .NET ADO libraries, ADO for active data objects, for database manipulation, and there's some code that's used in the Microsoft platform, in Visual Studio, the .NET platform, that allows you to do or to create SQL statements. The same thing if you're working with Java and like Eclipse. You'll probably be working with JDBC, which stands for Java Database Connectivity, and that would also generate some SQL statements for you. So don't worry about that for now. Just know that SQL's out there, and you need to know it. And when you start writing application logic, such as, again, anything like in C# or in Java, that there are tools out there that programmatically do that. You're probably going to have software developers that are going to be generating this from their applications anyway. A little bit beyond the scope of what we're doing. Just know that you're not going to be typing updates as far as the application goes. It's going to be handled programmatically. But as a SQL developer, you need to know this because you're going to be doing this, in the database itself. All right, I want you to do a lab. Let's see. And again, I want you to, I'm going to show you the lab I want you to do, and then I want you to turn off the video, do the lab, hopefully succeed in doing the lab, and then see if your solution was similar to mine. So how about we do the following? Let me go here. Let's see. I shouldn't open this, but I will. All right, write the following SQL. How about this? We will say update everyone that was hired on January 10th and change them to a hire date of, I don't know, January 11th. Let's just say we have the following error in here. Let's just say that, January 10th is a Sunday. For example, I don't know if it's really a Sunday. It could be. Stranger things have happened. So that's an error. So what we need to do is our boss asked us to go into our customers database and say, you know what? Find everyone that supposedly was hired on January 10th and change them to January 11th, because we don't hire people on Sundays. Obviously, it's a mistake that someone put in the wrong date. So every time you find January 10th, I want you to change them to be hired on January 11th. Now, I want you to pause the video, hopefully turn it back on, but pause the video or turn it off, go take a break, get something cool to drink, get something to eat, go watch General Hospital, recharge your tablet, balance your checkbook. Does anyone balance checkbooks anymore? I really don't know. But I want you to build this SQL. It's an update SQL. I want you to give it a shot, and I want you to turn on the video when you're done. So good luck. We'll see you in a few. Hello and welcome back. Did you write your SQL statement? Let's compare your SQL statement to something I came up with. So let's get restarted here. First of all, we have our customer list. Again, our results set's got 4 rows in it. We only have 4 employees, right? Big deal. All right, so the ask is find everyone that was hired, at least supposedly hired, on January 10th, and make them hired on January 11th. Again, our scenario was it's an error because January 10th is not a valid day. It has to be January 11th. So let's do the update. So let's type in update. We'll put in the name of the table, update customers, and we'll say set hire date equal to 01. Ooh, you know what? We're going to have to use the default date format. So let's try this. We might get an error in here, but that's okay. If we get an error, we're going to punch our way out of it. So we'll set the hire date equal to January 11th, 2011, pardon me, 18. Can you believe it's 2018 already? I was promised flying cars. Where are the flying cars? It's 2018. And we'll say where hire date is equal to 01/10/2018. Update customers, set hire date equals 01 January 11th, 2018, where hire date equals January 10th. I might have an error in here. Let's give it a shot. Oh, no, I'm good. Okay, good. I was thinking my error might be I'm not using the default date format for the dates and the strings, but we're good. So we should be good here. So let me see if we updated one record. Oh, by the way, if you wanted to kind of like go through this, you could go like through the explain. The one that's probably the most interesting to you is history. If you wanted to, what you can do, again, we're in a little field trip here, is if you wanted to get any of these statements again and not like type it in, you can. Just go to history, look it up. Like for example, how about this? Select start from customers. There we go. So you can do that if you like. Just remember to go back to results. If you don't want to type it in, go to history. And there we go. Mickey Mouse was changed from January 10th to January 11th. So that's how update works. Now, there are more complex update syntaxes. Again, this is an introduction to SQL. So I want you confident making simple updates, and you should be. You know, update So that's the SQL clause. Then you put in the name of the table, set column, the column name, equals something, where some condition, cust ID equals 1 or whatever. Now remember, put a where in there, because if you don't put a where in there, you're going to update everybody, unless that's what you want to do. I mean, for example, in our case, what we did is we wanted to update everyone for their salary to be 3% more of what it currently is. So there was no where clause. It was set salary equal to salary times 1.03 with no where in it. So that is how a SQL update works. Again, a simple SQL update. Now the next clause we need to learn is the delete. What delete does is delete actually deletes, well, as you probably could figure out, it deletes records from the database. Let's go over the delete SQL clause. Now the delete SQL clause does exactly what you think it does. It deletes records records from a single table. For example, if I wanted to delete Mickey Mouse, I simply can issue the following. I can put in delete space, we'll put in from, and then you put in the specific table, delete from customers, and put in where, and then the condition. Cust ID is equal to 1. Regular rules apply with the where clause and the, as I mentioned, with like the and and the or for the order of operations. But delete is really simple because delete will delete records from a single table on a specific condition. So in this case here, we're going to delete from customers where cust ID equals 1. Make that a little bit larger. Very straightforward SQL. So I'm going to run the SQL. I should get one row deleted. And let me just go to history here. And select all from customers again. Okay, I'll make this a little bit larger. And then run. Now we should see that Mickey is gone. Oh, poor Mickey. We miss Mickey. So that's pretty much how delete works. Delete's very simple. Now, I want you to answer the question. Let me put in a delete statement. Put in delete from customers. If I were to run this SQL statement, and I'm not going to, but if I was going to run the SQL statement, how many records would be deleted from the customer table? Again, I'll ask you the question again. If I were to run this delete statement, how many records would be deleted from the customers table? And the answer is all of them. Will Apex or Oracle warn you? Are you sure you want to delete all customers? No. Remember, when you're writing SQL statement, sometimes the worst enemy is yourself. I'm not going to run this because it'll delete everything because I don't have a where clause in here. It'll say 3 rows affected or 3 million rows affected or 3 billion rows affected. If you did this, you deleted all your customers and they are gone. Gone, 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 gone. So that's how delete works. So anyway, delete isn't really much more complicated than this. I mean, notice that we don't specify columns delete. We don't say delete cust ID from customers or delete cust name. We only delete rows. We don't delete columns. So delete is the only SQL clause that really doesn't have a way of, it doesn't need a way of specifying which columns we want to delete because we're deleting the whole row. So it's all columns. So after delete, we don't have a column set. We just have from. So we have delete from customers, and then you put a where clause in there. There's no order by, there's no anything like that. Out of the 4 SQL clauses, remember there's select to get records, there's update to update records, there's insert to insert records, and then there's delete to delete records. Delete is probably the most simple because there's, you don't really put in columns because you can't. And you just specify the criteria for which rows you want to delete. In this case, delete from customers. And That's how we do deletes. Now, again, this is just simple delete, but in this case, it doesn't get more complicated than that. Pause and do a lab exercise. Do the following. Write the following SQL. How about this? I want you to delete I'll put everyone in the customers table that earn that, how about this? Earn less than 60,000. Write the following SQL. Delete everyone in the customers table that earns, let me spell that right, that earns less than 60,000. So I want you to pause the video. I want you to write the SQL statement. And I want you to execute the SQL statement. And then upon completion, you can restart the video. Hopefully, I'll still be here. I promise. And you can compare your SQL statement to what I came up with. All right, good luck. We'll see you in a few. Pause the video. Hello, welcome back. Did you write your SQL? Let's compare your SQL statement to what I came up with. Now this was the ask. Delete everyone in the customers table that earns less than 60,000 for some reason or another. Pretty easy. How about this? Delete from customers where salary is less than, ooh, wait a second. Oh, there we go, 60,000. 60. Now look at my 60,000. Now remember, we can't use currency symbols such as commas or in this case dollar signs. So let me run this. I should get one record deleted. We should off Donald Duck. So let's click on run. One row deleted. And then how about select star from customers. Click on run. And all we have now is Mini Duck and Cassie Duck. I deleted Mickey, remember in the example I went over in the group lab. And then what you did is you just got rid of Donald because Donald makes less than 60,000. So that's how delete works. Like I said, delete, not too complicated. There's not a lot going on there. Just don't forget that if you don't have a where clause in a delete, it's going to get rid of everything and it's not going to warn you. So that's how delete works. So to sum it up, we have delete. Make sure that you have a where clause. Delete does not work with columns because it deletes entire rows. And delete will only delete records from one table at a time. In this case, the customers table. So that is how delete works. So I am finished with new material. So that is it as far as new material goes for the CIS 278 class for September 12th, 2018. I hope you enjoyed this virtual class. Like I said, we're going to have kind of some more of these. I don't know the exact number between now and the end of our time together. I encourage your feedback on this. So far, the feedback's been positive. I don't expect you to watch this in real time. For example, you could watch a little bit of this over the weekend, maybe a little bit in the early part of next week. I probably should have said at the very beginning of the video because maybe you watched it all. But I intend this to be a way that we can kind of be in more than one place at one time. Like I said, where you could have other stuff that you may need to study for on a Thursday, and we could still get class in. And also, these virtual classes really lend themselves to generic stuff like this. Like this stuff that we went over today is kind of dry. There's really not a lot of questions that are pertaining to this. It's not that complicated. So it kind of lends itself to just putting it, if we have a virtual class, you can stop the video, you can, retry, you could, retry a sequel, you could pause, you could rewind, you can watch a little bit here, a little bit there, you can watch just a little bit at a time. And that's kind of the point. I mean, the point is it's meant to be flexible where you still have me live. I'm here. I mean, you could, like I said, call me. I answer the phone. I say hello. You can Skype me. I'll give you my Skype user ID and your homework assignment, and we could kind of take it from there. Now, I do have a lab assignment for you, but I'm going to let this soak a little bit and send your lab assignments separately. So you're going to get a link to this presentation. I want you to watch it, and then shortly after, you're going to get another email with the actual lab on it. But I want you to I'm going to stagger it like that because I got a feeling if I send the link for the class and the lab that, I got to protect you from yourself a little bit. You'll probably start digging into the lab, where I kind of want you to at least start watching a little bit of this video. So anyway, folks, thank you. I appreciate your time and attention. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we will see you soon. Bye-bye.